Hey everybody, and welcome to another Rocksmith dev stream. I am your host and community manager for NCSA, Baja Newell. You also see me in the YouTube chat as UB Dork, so feel free to give me a shout. While usually it is our commander-in-chief, Douglas Lilly, our community developer, who is running the stream, he's actually out celebrating his birthday, so I'll actually be taking over for tonight. But while we don't have him here in the flesh, we do have some pre-recorded content between Doug talking to our two discussion guests, that being professional guitarist Jack Gardiner and music content developer Brian Sheu. So we've got a really great lineup for you guys tonight, regardless, and we will be moving into our regular mode of operations. We've got two performances from our community guest, YoungGun. We'll have a guitar show and tell from Adrien, and we will also have a song pack giveaway with a bunch of variety artists. So I'm going to stop with this talky bit, and we're going to get right into the discussion this week. So here's Douglas Lilly talking to our two guests about playing socially.
Hello, I am Doug Lilly, your community developer and host, usually for today's for the stream. Today, I'm relenting hosting duties, but I am having this conversation with two very special guests. With us from the Rocksmith team, we have note tracker Brian Sheu. Welcome back, been a long time. In addition, we have from the UK, Jack Gardiner, who is a musician and a professional musician and educator. So Jack, welcome.
Many thanks for having me, guys. It's an absolute pleasure.
Let's hear a little bit about yourself. So where might people know you? Where can people find you?
So I guess for me, I would consider myself like an online guitarist now, I guess, whatever that means these days. But
we're inventing it, right?
Exactly. But really, I have been running a YouTube channel now since I was like 13, I think, or 14 was when I first put up my first collection of videos.
12 years ago. 12 years ago, I looked.
Yeah, exactly. And so basically from there, I've kind of developed a career online. I did take a little bit of a break. And also I have worked as kind of a session musician since I was 18. I really focused heavily on gigs and covers gigs, especially. That was the big thing. That was my main job for a while. It's only really since the pandemic that I've kind of come back to social media and really made that kind of the main focus of my work these days, you know, in terms of my own music and teaching content and things like this. It's really kind of shifted since the pandemic.
Yeah. I saw that your output since in the past year has exploded. And Brian Sheu, I think a lot of our viewers know you, but just in case it has been a while, let's hear about your background with music and this social media discussion that we're having today.
Sure. Mostly this. I'm largely the same as Jack. Like I do a lot of cover gigs around the Bay Area. A lot of session work. I record for a lot of random people, as well as I did play in a band called Super Soul Bros, which is like a fusion funk video game cover band, and we haven't been doing much because of the pandemic. So you know, I've been also getting a little bit more active on my socials, investing in sound gear or video gear and whatnot, and yeah, I'm trying to figure it out. I'm trying to be like Jack.
I'm trying to be like Brian.
So yeah, the reason I wanted to talk to the two of you is, you know, in these conversations, usually I like to talk about things that are guitar related, but that don't necessarily fall. They're not something that you'll necessarily see on the software. This is something that can only really be learned through these conversations or just experienced. So let's talk about being a guitarist or musician on social media right now. I imagine the reasons to to be as active on social media as either of you are similar for why you want to gig. You want to build an audience. You want to bring your music to more people. How is it different on social media?
Do you want to answer this, Brian, or can I go for
Yeah,
it?
go for it, Jack.
I think it's really the big thing which I've certainly missed throughout this whole situation is the human interaction is not there. And so you never really have an immediate kind of response to what you do or what you play. You never know if what you're doing is actually like the right thing. It's all trial and error from what I've found. And that can be a cool thing, but it's also like it can be a tough thing mentally to understand, am I doing the right thing? Am I posting enough? Am I relating to an audience? All of these kind of things. In a gigging situation, you get that immediately from other people. You're able to interact. You're able to see what an audience likes or doesn't like in some situations, and that's really kind of what social media has changed, I think. Sorry, guys, if I'm going off topic. It's getting late here.
No. You're perfectly fine.
But yeah, it's just a very different way of doing things, I think, in terms of music anyway, and in terms of guitarists. A gig and preparing for a gig is very different to putting out a video on social media, I think, in my opinion anyway.
Brian.
Yeah, could you repeat the question? Actually?
Sure. It's been a while. So yeah, how do you approach
okay.
Creating content for social media differently than you would gigging, and are you doing it for different reasons?
So social media, you can, it's easier for me to kind of get into my own head as far as like what I'm recording, my performance, because like Jack said, it's not like a one take and then move on kind of a thing. It's like for social media, you're kind of always kind of a little concerned about like, oh, is this clean? Is what I'm doing clean enough? Is this like, oh wait, after I did that take, I thought about this new hip idea I want to insert in there. Like, let's do that over again. So it's a lot for me personally. It's very start and stop as far as like creating content versus like just being out there and gigging and everything's in the moment. And, even if I mess up, then that's the take.
Right. So something you mentioned there, kind of revisiting the idea and working on it, it goes into this idea of perfectionism,
right.
Which seems like it can be a danger when you're not playing, when you're able to hold on to the content until you're ready. How do you try to get over this? And is it different when you're doing these smaller videos on social media rather than recording an album or recording a song or playing a gig? How much are you able to let go of that perfectionism?
Perfectionism for me has been tough just because I've grown up a very certain way. And, it's especially with social media and kind of the scene, so to speak, you're just exposed to so many incredible players like Jack, or there's another guy from the UK named Simon Peter King who's like a virtuoso on everything, and like there's like Tom Quayle and like all these dudes all over the world. And like when COVID hit, just even more of these guys came out of the woodwork. And it's just like, God, when does it stop? Like so yeah, it's really difficult to especially if you're trying to do the same thing someone else is. It's hard not to measure yourself up to someone else. But I think some one of the things we've come to realize is, social media is social media. For all you aspiring guitarists out there, what you see, like those really nice, clean videos, super clean sounds, perfect performances, a lot of the times there's many takes that go into those. And like, don't feel bad if you if you can't measure up to that level of perfection that you're seeing every day as you scroll down your feed, Yeah.
Exactly. No, I think you've hit the nail on the head there, Brian. That's really kind of the hardest thing to get past. And I think for a lot of younger players, I mean, even myself included, before I kind of, got on to the idea that editing does go on, it was really difficult to take. When I took like that 2-year break, I was thinking, oh my word, has the level just shot up massively in these past 2 years? There's like players that I'd never heard of that were all of a sudden doing incredible things. And while there is a lot out there that will do that, you also have to bear in mind that even if it is played live and things like this, as you said, Brian, you don't know how many takes have gone into that. Like that could be, someone waking up at 6 a.m. and trying for that 1-minute clip until 9 p.m. Sometimes that you're not seeing it, the work that goes into that beforehand, I don't think. Which, it can take a massive toll on people's, mental health towards all of this kind of stuff. So you do have to kind of view it with the eyes that it's music for social media. It's not necessarily, music for music's sake sometimes, I find anyway.
So how long, like for a minute long, like a 60-second video clip, how much work typically goes into that?
So if it's an Instagram clip, for me, that's probably the one platform which I like the least, shall we say, just because of the short time span that you have within that. So if I am to do something, it depends on the context. So if it's like one of the tracks from the album or something like this, then the time that goes into like relearning that and then to actually filming it and then to edit that, like color grade it and all that kind of stuff, that's probably like a good 5 hours worth of work. It depends, like on what the actual context is. If it's just an improvisation, then often what I'll do is just put the track on, and it's usually, I don't know whether this is like, maybe this is like the golden rule, but it seems to be within take 1 to 5, there's going to be the take, and it's usually like take 2 or 3. There's the one.
That's been my experience. Like take 1 to 5 is usually the one I take, but I still take like 20 of them.
Yeah.
So, I'm just like, it could be cooler, it could be faster, it could be everything else, like.
Yeah.
Would you recommend like setting like definite limits on how many takes or how much time?
If it's an improvisation based thing, then I want people to really see like how I would play if they were to come to see me in a gigging situation. So I'm a massive fan of like leaving in the slop, shall we say, and the mistakes and things like that. Like
the human part of it. Yeah,
exactly. Because that's what I want to see really in my favorite players as well. Like, I don't for 1 second believe that anyone is, is capable of not making any mistakes whatsoever when they improvise. That's just a natural thing. Hearing things like string noise, hearing things like, mispicked notes and things like that, or like bends that aren't perfectly in tune. Like, I like to hear that. That maybe that's just a personal thing.
No,
but,
I feel that too, man. When someone's just going for it, and that's just what I want to hear. I want to hear someone going for it regardless of like whether they're actually going to make it, whether that be chops or a perfect bend, like you were saying. Like, I just want to see someone be spontaneous and just having fun with what they're doing and
taking the risk, really, isn't it?
Taking
as well,
the risk.
Like, like
especially
I like that
improvised music, especially.
Yeah. And I think that's like really difficult to portray on Instagram unless you are just kind of like, I don't care, I'm going to put out whatever it is in this take, even if there was that mistake. The other thing is the 60-second limit, which I find that, in an improvisational context at a gig, it's very unlikely that we only have 60 seconds to build a solo. Like, and that time limit, it's not going to come down hard on you, is it? It's not like halfway through a bar, the drummer's going to be like, right, next solo, here we go.
Like, cut the lights.
Yeah. So that has been something that I've tried to kind of work my way around by. What I usually do is like chop it up into, say like it's a 3.5 minute thing, I'll chop it up into like a carousel so that you get all the video clips. Now, whether people watch that or not, I don't know. Whether they just see the first 10 seconds of the first click and then, they're gone. But for me, that helps me to feel like I'm keeping it more like a real representation rather than just like, here's 10 seconds of absolute shred that's been perfected for 9 hours, for that one take. I'm not so much into that.
And then you've also, Jack, you have 20-30 minute long just deep dives into concepts and lessons. Comparatively, like how much like just time and effort are you putting into those? Because again, your output is pretty tremendous right now.
Thank you very much.
You could see that you are putting in some time to this.
Yeah. So
yeah. How do you approach those differently?
The YouTube lessons, what I tend to do is if I have an idea during the week, I'll write it down. But my kind of goal every week is that I want the first 3 or 4 days of the week to be just, so Monday to Thursday, just whatever it is that I need to work on, whether that's like session stuff for other people, whether it's at the minute, it's my own stuff, like the second album release or EP release. And then Thursday will be the day where in the evening I'll film the free lesson on a Friday kind of thing. So usually that idea will come on, say, the Monday, and I'll save the thought. So it'll be in the back of the mind. And then on Thursday, it comes to setting up all the lights, setting up everything behind me. You can see all of this here, making sure that that's all okay. But usually those, I try to keep them kind of lax again in terms of the mistakes. Like it will be, I'll leave the camera rolling for just one take, and then whatever comes out, even if I, chat utter rubbish, then I'll edit that out in post, but leave it as one take rolling. The one thing which is killer with them is the editing time. Like the color grading, like the making sure that the mic volumes are all right, editing out so that your guitar level drops when you speak, things like this. Man, that can take like 5 to 6 hours sometimes if I'm not careful, like it's
Right.
That's the killer. The actual playing and the actual teaching is just the 20 minutes or the 30 minutes that the video takes. That's usually the easy part. It's the sitting there afterwards for hours going, is this even a cool concept? Did I even play right? Like, it's that afterwards, the kind of mental games you play with yourself to talk yourself out of doing it.
Brian, something you mentioned earlier when you were talking about like just the level of talent and the amount of people putting out content right now on social media and how that can sort of affect your nerves. I'm sure gigging, both of you have at times played after someone that you maybe didn't want to play after.
Oh yeah.
How am I going to follow that?
Right.
I mean, is that what it can feel like sometimes, especially when you're starting? Like you're going up on stage after.
Well,
everybody.
it's more like it's maybe a little bit of that. I think a lot of it also is just comparing yourself to other musicians you really like and or I don't want to sound mean, but seeing someone else that may not be at the same level, but like have their popularity skyrocket, and you're just like, well, what am I doing wrong? Like, do people just not really like what I do? Is it the way I look, or what is it? And a lot of the times, like, it's actually nothing of those things. It's just purely consistent content creation and smart use of hashtags or whatnot, sponsoring your posts and stuff like that. But yeah, as far as like kind of comparing myself to other musicians, or I don't know if Jack also does this, but I just kind of put everybody else on a pedestal, man. And so like
100%.
a lot of the times I'm just like, man, how do I measure up to these guys? Even if my content may be higher quality or whatnot in video, or and then you kind of get obsessed with numbers, like who's seeing my stuff, who's interacting with my stuff, how come I'm not getting that many likes, et cetera, et cetera. But it's kind of trying to learn how to game the algorithms and stuff like that.
I think that was spot on, Brian. Like it's a dangerous game that you can enter into, isn't it? When you start to compare yourself, like, I mean, man, if I was to compare myself to your playing, that's silly. Like, your level is ridiculously high in terms of the phrasing and things like that. For me, it's like trying to find inspiration in that, to convert that can be difficult sometimes for some people. Like, and I've been there 100%. Where I think the big point you made there was the idea that sometimes there are some players where you question, like, why have they exploded, and why is my content not being seen in the same way? When you may see it as like the level can be much lower, and I think a lot of it is like luck as well that we don't take into account at all. Is it? And like you said, the hashtags and the algorithms and things, sometimes they favor someone that you think, really, am I not as good as that? Am I doing something wrong? Like you said, like, it's the question of, do I look funny? Is this why I'm not getting this?
There's so many different factors to it. Like, it's the playing, it's like how I look, it's like everything. Like,
yeah. Or
like, what's wrong with me?
Yeah. People, do they not like the gear I use? That's the other thing which has gone through my mind, and I'm thinking, why? This is the stuff which I like. Why should it matter? It's hard, isn't it? Because I think as well, you're just constantly bombarded. You can do the whole doom scroll thing on Instagram, and you'll see player after player after player that's like this good. It's hard to sometimes switch off, isn't it? And just go, well, none of that actually matters. They're doing them, and I'm doing me.
And one of the biggest things also is, like, I'm afraid of being found out. I'm afraid of someone coming to my gig and realizing that I do not play exactly like all my perfect videos on my social medias.
Oh no.
It's I don't know if anybody else has that kind of fear, but I've learned to kind of let go of it over the last year or two, a lot. And be a little bit more happy with myself after a gig, like when I play a gig, and just kind of be like, okay, yeah, I made some mistakes, but I asked myself questions like, did the group sound good? First of all, that's like the biggest thing, right? I've stopped thinking a little. I used to think a little selfishly, like, oh man, I just want to really play great. Like, if I can play great, then I'm happy with the gig. Like, a part of that's also because I know everybody else will be fine. They sound great always. But yeah, that's one of the biggest things is like, you're on social media, you spend a lot of time thinking about all these, like, doing these mental gymnastics and like kind of struggling with anxiety and like measuring yourself. And then also on top of that, it's just like, oh God, I kind of hope no one important comes to my gig and like sees that I'm not actually like this person that posts that much.
Brian, I gotta ask, why do you think you look at the content that you have, the perfect content on social media that you put out versus an album where you may have had several takes? I don't know if you overdub, but overdubbing is the thing. Studio tricks are a thing. Why do you think you see the perfection on social media in a different light than the perfection of an album? Or is an album not as perfect?
I don't, because I think maybe a part of that is that videos of people playing is almost similar to seeing someone play live in a way. I know it's not, but it's like, you see that person and they're performing it in front of you.
That
and it's a little different than like an album, because they just come out with the album, you buy it. It sounds great, and you don't see kind of like the people doing it.
It's the presentation of it, isn't it? I think that's the difference, really. Like with a video on Instagram, it's like it's being presented in a way that a lot of the time that it's someone just playing that in the room, whereas on an album, we kind of expect that there's going to be punch-ins, there's going to be production elements, there's going to be all of that to it. Like, it's different than if someone like mimes along to like the album version in their living room, and you're like, hang on, that's not the same thing. Like that's yeah. I think it's a matter of presentation in that way, isn't it? It's interesting you said that, Brian, though, about playing live, because when I listen to your live clips, you have tons of them out there. Like, I don't see a level drop or anything like that with your playing, but it's interesting that you feel like there is, because I'm the same. I feel like
yeah. Well, I mean, the thing is, like, it's the same with those clips. Those are best of Brian. So like, I get, especially when I was playing with Super Soul Bros, like
I love that band, by the way.
Oh, thank you. I used to people used to just film us on their cell phones so much, and I hated it, because I'm just like, well, not only does it make me nervous, but they're going to capture me messing up, and then I know these people are going to put it on YouTube, and it's just going to be a bunch of videos of me sucking on YouTube. And I struggled with that for a really long time, actually, and I was really a stickler for like even sometimes finding like my friends that are filming it. It's like, please don't post that on YouTube unless I can see it first. And like my life stuff has a bit of curation as well. So it's I'm posting one 30-second clip out of a 3-hour gig. So it's the same thing, I guess. Like kind of it's the same thing as working in the in your studio for an Instagram video. There's we're kind of curating best ofs a lot of the times.
Yeah, 100%. Like, I mean, if you see some of the B-roll of some of the things where, and like just like total beginner stuff, when you click record and then you misbend the first note and you're like, really?
Yeah, dude, I hate that. Yeah, the start and stop, like, oh my god, I'm so bad.
Yeah,
that first
yeah,
so I want to talk a little bit for anybody who is not. I know you've mentioned the fact that it's the waters are pretty full right now, but if somebody else who's watching wants to also hop in and start putting out some content, first off, it sounds like everybody who's doing this deals with a lot of the same sort of anxieties. So that's that thing one, you're not alone. It's probably going to feel weird. You're going to feel vulnerable. And if this is an approach you want to take, do you have any advice for people?
Yeah, first off, if you're starting to seriously put out content on YouTube and social media to try and supplement like your income or something, like get students or or just even be a little bit more prominent in a scene, good for you. That takes a lot of effort, and I don't want to say courage, but a little bit of courage too, because you're putting yourself out there.
Especially considering the amount of hate that you can get for nothing now. Yes, I would 100% say it's courage, because I mean, people will jump at any opportunity to put someone down on the internet, and to put your guitar playing out there, it's a piece of yourself, isn't it? So yeah, Brian, I would sorry to interrupt, but
very personal, right? Yeah. So just kind of do your thing, and do it because you enjoy it as well. Like if you don't enjoy it, then why are you doing it? I had a question for Jack, like between I guess how would you suggest someone use social media to like supplement their career, as maybe they haven't really thought about using a lot of social media? Because I know a lot of musicians who actually are great musicians, but they don't do anything on social media, which seems kind of like nowadays it's like you almost kind of need to, or kind of learn a little bit of how it works to not get too left behind. And
Yeah, I would encourage everyone, if they can, even if it's just to use as kind of like a digital like business card almost. It's like, here's some of my stuff, even if it's only got like 10 views or whatever, it doesn't matter. The numbers literally mean nothing in the real world. It's just so that you can show someone, this is what I do, or this is the work which I've done before. It's almost like that digital CV. I know friends of mine who just like are totally against the social media game, who are amazing players. There's a keyboard player I can think of in particular, who I was asked by quite a well-known name in the guitar world, did I know any keyboard players that would be up for playing on this thing? And I put his name forward. I said, look, man, he's the right guy for the job. He could definitely do it. And the guy who was asking, because there was no videos on there, it was just an instant no.
No.
So it's like, even if you've done these big gigs and you've done maybe some cool recordings and stuff, unless they can actively see what you're doing right now, I think a lot of people will be slightly dubious of, saying, yeah, let's give them a job. Let's hire them for this kind of thing. I mean, not everything's going to be like that situation, but it's just better to have something there to show, I think. I think, Douglas, you were saying about like advice for people starting. I think really it's about consistency more than anything, and it can really help supplement, everything else that's going on. For me now, I'm at the point where 1 year ago was the first time I'd really taken the online game seriously, in the sense that I was posting every week something. Before that, I actually did take I think like a 2-year break where I posted maybe like 3 videos or something or something really small like that in 2 years. And it's almost like now that it's come the opposite way, I'm thinking of maybe potentially dropping some gigs that I didn't want to do, when it all comes back. Yeah. So it can work in your favor in that way. And I mean, like I say, I feel really lucky that things have gone that way this year. But at the same time, I do believe that if you are just like consistent with it, then you'll find an audience. And the numbers, like I mentioned earlier, don't mean anything. All you need is like a community around you of, say, like 100 people that are really into your stuff to make a living from this. Like it doesn't need to be the hundreds of thousands that you see people with.
Right.
It's more a case of building like a relationship with like fans, or people that are into your stuff. On a like kind of personal level, more than it is just being like, look at me, here's me shredding, buy my tabs kind of thing. That's not really necessarily going to work,
So yeah, people getting into this, I believe strongly in sort of figuring it out as you go, and I assume there's a lot of like, I don't know how to, I want to make a video, I don't know how to make a video, I don't know how to edit, and there's a lot of this learning as you go. But are there any skill sets that you would definitely suggest somebody pick up if all they know is guitar and they want to start getting into this game? What's a skill that they need to develop?
Good video is better than anything else at the minute, which is sad considering that we're in music and that's like the audio side of things.
Yeah.
But like, people will instantly not watch a video if it's in like potato quality. Like I've seen some of the most amazing players that will film things in like 480p or whatever, and it doesn't get watched, which is sad. Yeah. I'll watch it, but a lot of the younger guys, especially if it's not in minimum 1080, then they're not going to bother. So just like learning how to use a DSLR or even the iPhone to make things, like look nice in terms of framing, in terms of exposure and lighting, that's probably the most important thing. Like, it's sad to say, but the looks are more important than the playing now in terms of the video itself, not the person. I'm definitely not a looker, but like, it's one of them.
It's so true. Like, Jack, that like I just bought my first DSLR camera over the summer or something, and I just started using it to, like, maybe in January, to start making videos, and instantly it's not like the playing quality was worse, it's just the video is so much better. And yeah, I didn't even figure out my lighting yet, so it's like, it's like just super white, and like you're being blinded by like the light behind me and stuff like that. But like, oh man, it's crazy how big of a difference just video quality will do. I don't know whether or not it's just in like personal interest, or if Instagram or those social media platforms can kind of, through their algorithms, figure out like they push your video out there more because it's higher quality. Like, but yeah, that's a one big thing. And like, if you got an iPhone 10 or whatever, those cameras are pretty good nowadays. So a lot of people just use those, and they're super nice. So, one other thing I might add in there, it's like, after you kind of get the video thing, learn how to use a DAW.
Yes. Yeah.
Learn how to use a DAW.
100%. Yeah.
And then maybe start syncing your videos together, or if you can figure it out, figure out a way to record on your nice camera and the audio at the same time. That saves so much editing. Like, that's what I've been doing. That's what I've been doing. So
I guess see the quality that you want to get to, figure out how to get there, figure out what equipment you need, and just sort of build on the way and build your audience as you're going.
Mm-hmm.
Easy.
And
I think it's kind of nice as well to see the progression. Like, that's the good thing about video. I say this to like students in terms of like guitar playing rather than just social media as well, is that once you've got that visual record there, it will just help you grow, because you've got like a timestamp of like, okay, in that month, this is how I played, or this is what my videos looked like, this is what the lighting looked like. You can actually see like the growth, as it goes, and what you've learned, which can sometimes be hard, especially when you're scrolling and you're seeing everyone's got these such good looking videos and, you know, playing. Sometimes it's hard to not see the growth that you've made yourself in terms of the playing, in terms of, all of these things. Like, I think that's where, it doesn't matter, even if you were to start with like, something that doesn't look amazing at the minute, just do it and watch yourself slowly build up these things with the newly acquired skills and, the better quality images and audio and things like that.
I'm curious, speaking of growth, I am curious, has producing such regular content over this past year especially, has that, as far as you can tell, affected the way that you approach writing music generally?
This is interesting, actually, because right now I'm kind of taking a break from Instagram and YouTube and things like. I'm still doing the YouTube lesson, actually, but I'm trying to write. Me and Owain, the guy who produced the first release, we've set ourselves a goal that we want to finish a second like album or EP, but this time it's going to be a collab thing together. We started writing, when was it? The last week of March. And we want to finish it by the last week of April. So for me, it's kind of been a case of turning off all social media to just focus in on this. And I've been actually feeling, this is something I can say openly, like kind of guilty that I haven't like been posting. And that's wrong. If I look at it, like from another way, it's like, actually, why should I feed the algorithm? Like, I don't need to. Like, doing the music for me is more important than making a random 60-second clip that essentially is digital waste after 1 year, like unless people actually want to go back and find that video, But like, so for me, I think this happened last year as well. I was doing the content and then it came to writing the album, and it's kind of like I have to turn it all off, because otherwise you just get into this really kind of miserable, for me anyway, a mindset where it's like, oh, I should have done a video yesterday, or you start thinking, are people going to forget me? Which is ridiculous.
Right.
Why would they? But
Right.
yeah, like now is kind of that moment for me where I'm starting to think, oh, should I have put, like, I posted an Instagram thing today and I actually apologized, saying sorry for not posting so much, but I'm writing music, and I'm thinking afterwards, I'm like, why am I
apologize
apologizing?
for writing music.
Yeah, like, so yeah, it's a strange one. Yeah,
I do think that kind of care for your community goes a long way too, though. So I'm sure people appreciate that, and people get excited that you're working on new material. So that's also
a great point, actually. Yeah. It's nice to actually, I mean, this is something I never used to do, but to even like interact in some ways, to have like a kind of conversation going, even if you're not replying to every comment and message and things like that. Sometimes it's nice to have like a bit of a narrative with like the people who are following you. I think that can be interesting, and actually getting their opinion is a big thing. Like there's sometimes where, I know it's a stupid thing, but actually asking a question of which take do you prefer can be interesting. Even if you don't agree with the opinion, it can be interesting to see for yourself what the perception is of your playing to another person, because we never know, really, do we? We're relying on other people to be truthful, really, about it.
Cool. I think that about wraps us up. Thank you both so much for this conversation. This has been really lovely. Before I let you go, I want to find out, Brian, anything you need to plug right now?
Follow me on all my socials.
We'll have those links in the chat. We'll definitely have those links in the chat.
My Instagram, Brain Shoes, Brain_shoes, on Instagram. And if you just type in, just search for me on YouTube. There's just there's lots of good videos and lots of bad videos. So,
so find the good ones.
Find the good ones.
And Jack, where can we find you?
Yeah, so it's Instagram is Jack_Gardiner_music. I know that's a pain, but every Jack Gardiner was taken. Jack Gardiner guitar, all of those were gone. So yeah, Jack_Gardiner_music, and then YouTube. I think it's like an old. Forgive me if I'm wrong. It'll be in the chat, I guess, the link. But I think it's Guitar Jacku, which was what I made when I was about 13.
Dude, my YouTube account, I also made mine when I was like 14 or something, and it's the thing is Cheesy Play 3000. So
yeah,
that's cool. Like,
you should be able to update those like in 5 years. Jack, and I know you have you're working on a new EP.
Yes,
and you have a couple of albums, a couple of EPs.
So no, just I released actually the debut EP I released in June during the pandemic. So that one, Escapades, that's on Spotify and all those kind of things. But yet the new one, I don't know how much I can say. There's a special guest on there. I probably shouldn't reveal who he is just yet. But that should be out, I guess, over the next 2 to 3 months, depending on when this goes out and things. But yeah, we're hoping to have it done pretty quickly. There's also I just released a new package with JTC Guitar. I don't know if you guys are familiar with them, Jam Track Central.
Yeah, man, it's old Guthrie. Yeah, that's how. Oh man, classic.
All the British guys back in the day.
Oh yeah, man. That's how those are all the dudes I looked up to growing up. So
exactly the same for me.
Yeah.
Man, yeah. But I just released a new package from them. If anyone's interested in kind of the fusion-y style playing,
awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you again, both very much. Lovely to have you, and hopefully we'll talk to you again sometime in the future.
Oh, it'd be amazing. Thank you so much, Doug and Brian. Absolute pleasure chatting to you guys.
Thanks,
everybody. And back to Baja. Bye.
Bye.
Cheers.
Hey everyone, and welcome back from that discussion. I hope you truly enjoyed it. Once again, that was Douglas Lilly, our community developer, who's currently out celebrating his birthday, speaking with our two guests in a pre-recorded segment. That was professional guitarist Jack Gardiner and music content developer Brian Sheu. Next, we'll be moving into our community guest segment, where we'll have a performance from YoungGun playing Bullet for My Valentine's Tears Don't Fall. Right after that, we'll have Adrien with a guitar show and tell. I'll be back after both of those segments to go ahead and talk about what's coming up next, our last community guest performance, as well as some giveaways. So please stay tuned and stick in the chat, and I'll talk to you guys soon.
Hey, what's up, guys? My name's Colt. Go by YoungGun over there on Twitch, and I'll be joining you today for this week's Rocksmith dev stream. First and foremost, guys, thank you so much for having me on. It's an absolute honor. I played Rocksmith. I think I've racked up 7,000 hours or so in the last 6 years. 5 of those years, I have streamed the game pretty much every day. And over the last 2 years, I've actually been lucky enough to call it my job, securing such endorsements as ESP Guitars, Astro Gaming, and more. So, yeah, I couldn't have done it without you guys, and I'm eternally grateful for the platform you provided us, this awesome game. And yeah, without further ado, I'll be showing you guys 2 of my favorite charts that the note trackers have made for us. The first of which is Tears Don't Fall from Bullet for My Valentine. Now, between this pack and the other pack I will be showcasing, I don't think I've ever clicked Steam, Store, Purchase faster than when these packs went available. I've been so excited about these. These come from my favorite era of music, which is the mid-2000s metalcore and post-hardcore scenes. And if you guys like that kind of music, we specialize in that over in my stream. So yeah, like I said, first song, Tears Don't Fall, Bullet for My Valentine. And actually, in this video, I was lucky enough to borrow Dan Jacobs' guitar. Dan Jacobs of Atreyu loaned me his guitar for about a week or so. And his ESP Blood Splatter V. And I hope you guys enjoy it because that guitar is absolutely gorgeous. And the second pack is actually the Silverstein pack, another song pack I was just over the moon for. You guys knocked it out of the park with these. And the song I've chosen from the Silverstein pack is Smile in Your Sleep. Actually a pretty hard opening tapping riff, and just truly a legendary song in the scene. So I hope you guys enjoy it. Again, thank you so much for having me on. And if you want to find the stream, if you like what I do in the videos here, you can check me out, twitch.tv/YoungGun, YOUNGGUN. And then any socials are right here behind my right hand. And you guys enjoy.
Hi everyone, my name is Adrien and I run the data science team for the studio in San Francisco. And today I am here to talk to you about this. This is a Tomahawk from Ernie Taylor Guitars, ET Guitars, who are a small company based in Australia. This is the most recent addition to my collection, and I wanted to tell you guys a little bit about it. So, I was very fortunate to get to meet Ernie Taylor, the main luthier at the company, at NAMM last year, shortly before the pandemic hit. And during the show at NAMM, I got to see and play so many beautiful instruments. It was a really great opportunity. But while walking the show floor, I saw this small display. It was about yay wide, or like 3-4 guitars hanging on it. And there's something about it that just called to me. And I walked over and I was like, hey, can I play one of these? And it was like, no problem. Picked it up, played it, and it was like instantly my favorite thing of the entire show. It was the greatest thing I'd played. It just clicked. And it reminded me of a quote that Dan Amrich recently sent me from Frank Zappa, who said that, when you're looking for a guitar, if you see one that says, "Take me, I'm yours," that's the one. And that's kind of what happened here. It was just this thing. It clicked. It felt right. It was the right instrument for me. And so I talked to Ernie about, hey, what would it look like to make me one of these? And so we, went back and forth and figured out kind of what specifically the specs I was looking for and what I was interested in, and this is kind of where we landed. So we landed on this. I said this is the Tomahawk model in terms of like the body style that they make. It's kind of I said sort of this like super stratish sort of design, and it is a swamp ash body with a quilted maple top, as far as the wood's concerned, and then it's got like the kind of typical cuts in terms of what you'd expect from a guitar like this. It's pretty light overall. I mean, my frame of reference is a little messed up because I tend to go for the flying V type guitars that don't have a lot of body to them, so I'm not sure how weight-wise this compares to most normal guitars, but it feels very light. It's easy, comfortable to wear with a strap, and works just really, really well. Obviously, one of the things I think a lot of people notice first when they look at this is the multi-scale fanned fret design. So the fact that the frets are not perpendicular to the neck, they're kind of at this fanned angle, starting out here where they point kind of towards the headstock, and then down here The 8th fret is kind of the vertical line, and then the angle here is kind of towards the bridge. So why would you do this? Why would one make a guitar like this if you're not familiar with fan fret guitars? So the idea is that it allows you to have a lower string that is longer than, that has a scale length that is longer than the scale length of the higher string, meaning that you can maintain better string tension to produce kind of that note with a thinner string. Effectively, what this means for me is that I can tune this guitar down pretty low while keeping kind of normal thickness strings on it, that without the strings getting super flappy the way they do if you just take a normal guitar and tune it way down. You get that kind of like flap, flap, flap sound that the strings kind of whacking against the neck. Don't get that here. So just as an example, this is the scale length for the high string is a 24 3/4, which is comparable to what Gibson uses on their guitars, and then the low string is a 26-inch scale length. So the scale length is from the headstock, the nut, to the bridge. And just once again as an example. This guitar I keep tuned in C sharp, so that's 3 half steps down from standard tuning, and the strings on it, the low string is a 50 gauge string. My Jackson, which I keep tuned to C, I have to put a 56 gauge string on the low string for it to not flap like crazy when I'm playing. So this is just really nice because I can still, play. I can play fast. I can tremolo pick on the low strings without it being those super thick strings that hurt my fingers and are really hard to bend. So I can still kind of, pull the strings around pretty comfortably. It plays like a normal guitar but tuned down, which is, very, very convenient for me. So the fan fret, as I said, was something that I was, I'd never really played before, but I've come to really love it. It's actually surprisingly intuitive, and you still play chords comfortably. And it honestly, I thought it was going to throw me, and it really didn't. It was really just kind of drove home how important just the feel of being able to feel that fret where your finger's pressing on the neck is just as important as being able to see where your finger's going. So really, really happy with that. It's just become kind of, it almost feels weird to go back to a normal guitar now because I've been playing this so much. In terms of additional features, so it has a locking tremolo from Apollo Music, which is we needed to go with that because we needed a tremolo that also had this angle to it. As you can kind of see, the string, the tremolo isn't vertical. It's at the same. Basically, it's an angle that matches the angle of the offset of the frets. And just in general, I've become a really big fan of this tremolo, specifically because it has, as opposed, if you've had a locking tremolo like a Floyd Rose before, I'm sure you remember how hard it can be to restring those. You got to cut the ball bearing off the end of the strings and then kind of jam them into the system with that little block. And that can be I found that to be a really finicky process. And on this guitar, you don't have to do that because the strings actually go straight into, so these are the fine tuners, and the strings just go straight in there, and then you feed them through the way you would a normal string on a guitar. And it made restringing this so much easier than any of my guitars that have Floyd Roses on them. So it was just a really nice, I've been putting off restringing my Jackson for months now because of it. And so it was just like a really, really nice process. And it's just generally a really nice bridge. It looks good, and it's just kind of very easy to work with. So I really kind of enjoyed that. The pickups are the Ernie Taylor. They made them in-house. I wound them in-house. They're kind of very nice, get really good tone. They have a coil tap on them, which is a first for me. I've never had a coil tap on a guitar before, so I'm kind of discovering a lot of the joys of single coil tones, which is really, really interesting. But yeah, and it makes it for a really, really versatile instrument. At the end of the day, I can get really good tones when I've got the kind of got them in kind of humbucker mode, and I got that kind of that high gain. I can do all that heavy metal stuff, but then I also have can get really nice clean tones out of it. So I really get a huge variety with one instrument, which is really, really exciting. And yeah, and honestly, just the whole thing, just to briefly wrap up, it plays incredibly well. It's super smooth. It's very fast playing guitar. It's what it's made for, and you can kind of feel that in how how it plays, and yeah, I'm just incredibly thrilled with it. If any of this sounds even remotely appealing to you, I'd highly recommend checking out ET Guitars. See what you can find. I think it's ET Guitars on social media, and then their website is etguitars.com. It was really a pleasure working with them, and I couldn't be more thrilled with this instrument. So I hope this was informative, and thank you very much for your time.
Hey everybody, and welcome back from those pre-recorded segments. Once again, that was YoungGun performing Bullet for My Valentine's, Tears Don't Fall, and Adrien with his guitar overview, showing his new guitar. Next, we'll be moving into another performance by YoungGun, this one being Silverstein's Smile in Your Sleep, and we'll also be having a song pack giveaway. This one will be a variety pack with 4 different bands in it. That's going to be the Beastie Boys, the Beach Boys, the Outlaws, and Blink-182. So look out for my name, YoungGun, in the chat, as I'll be dropping down the codes during the performance. First come, first serve. So be quick about it. I will let you guys know when I'm gonna drop the last one, so be on your guard. Without further ado, let's go ahead and listen to YoungGun's performance of Silverstein's Smile in Your Sleep.
I just want to play it as perfectly as I can on this one here. Let's go.
I'm not the only one you spend this time
right, everybody, thank you so much for coming out to tonight's Rocksmith Dev Stream. I am once again your host and community manager, Baja Newell, and I'm super excited to have been able to host for you guys tonight. Shout out to our guests for our discussion. Once again, that was professional guitarist Jack Gardiner and music content developer Brian Sheu. Our community guest YoungGun for his 2 amazing performances, and Adrien for that awesome show and tell of his new guitar. Other than that, we are done. I hope you guys truly enjoyed everything that you saw tonight. Feel free to once again leave happy birthday in the comments for Doug. If you need any links, feel free to hit me and I'll go ahead and drop those in the chat for now. But other than that, have a great night and great rest of your day, and we'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.